The alarm rang through the cargo ship at 3 in the morning. Jake Morrison groaned and rolled out of his bunk, his feet hitting the cold metal floor. He had been dreaming about Earth, about real coffee and fresh air. Now he was awake in the darkness of space, and something was wrong. He pulled on his jacket and headed to the bridge. The ship was called Starbound Dawn, and it was old but reliable. Jake had been flying cargo roads for 12 years now. He knew every sound the ship made, every rattle and hum. This alarm was the one he never wanted to hear. It meant someone out here needed help. Amy Chen was already at the controls when Jake arrived. She was his pilot, young and sharp, with quick reflexes that had saved them more than once. Her fingers moved across the display screen, pulling up data. "Got a distress beacon," Amy said without looking up. "Small craft, looks like an escape pod. It's drifting near the asteroid field about 2 hours from here." Jake leaned over her shoulder to look at the screen. The pod showed up as a tiny blip on their sensors. Out here, 2 hours away from the nearest station, finding someone alive in a pod was rare. Most people didn't make it that long. "Any identification signal?" Jake asked. Amy shook her head. "Nothing. The beacon is basic, bare minimum. No ship registry, no origin point. Whoever launched that pod either did it in a hurry or didn't want to be tracked." The door behind them opened and Ben Carter walked in, rubbing sleep from his eyes. Ben was their engineer, a big guy with gentle hands who could fix anything on the ship. He had been with Jake for 6 years and never once complained about the long hours or the boring routes. "We responding to that?" Ben asked, pointing at the screen. Jake stood up straight and crossed his arms. Protocol said they had to respond to distress signals, but protocol also said they should report unknown pods to the authorities first. The medical supplies they were carrying were needed at the colony in 5 days. If they stopped now, they might be late. But Jake had been in trouble before, floating in the dark, hoping someone would come. He couldn't leave someone out there. "Change course," Jake said. "Let's go see who needs help." Amy nodded and turned the ship. The Starbound Dawn was heavy with cargo, so it moved slow. Jake went to make coffee while they traveled. Real coffee was expensive, but he always kept some on the ship. It was one of the small things that made life in space bearable. 2 hours later, they reached the coordinates. The pod was small and dark, tumbling slowly through space. It looked damaged. Scorch marks covered one side, and part of the hull was dented inward. "Life signs?" Jake asked. Amy checked her sensors. "One, weak but there. Definitely alive." "All right," Jake said. "Ben, suit up. We're bringing them in." Ben was already moving toward the airlock. Jake followed him. They put on their spacesuits and checked each other's seals. Space didn't forgive mistakes. One tiny leak and you were dead in minutes. The airlock opened and they floated out into the void. Stars surrounded them in every direction, cold and distant. The pod was 50 feet away, spinning gently. Ben fired his maneuvering jets and reached it first. He grabbed the handle on the side and stopped its spin. Jake joined him and they examined the damage. The pod had taken a hit from something, maybe weapons fire, maybe debris. The hatch was sealed but still functional. Ben worked the manual override and the hatch clicked open. Inside was an alien. Jake had seen dozens of alien species in his years flying cargo routes. The galaxy was full of different life forms, all shapes and sizes. But this one was new to him. She was small, maybe 5 feet tall if she stood up. Her skin was pale blue with silver markings along her arms. She had large dark eyes and hair that looked almost like fine white feathers. She was young, probably equivalent to a human in her early 20s. She was also terrified. The alien girl clutched a silver container to her chest. Her breathing was fast and shallow. She looked at Jake and Ben through their helmet visors and pressed herself against the back of the pod. "It's okay," Jake said, knowing she probably couldn't hear him through the vacuum of space. He made slow, calming gestures with his hands. "We're here to help." The girl's eyes moved between them. She seemed to be deciding if she could trust them. Finally, she nodded slightly. Ben reached in and carefully pulled her out of the pod. She kept one arm wrapped around her container the whole time. They brought her back to the ship and sealed the airlock. When the air pressure returned, Jake removed his helmet. The girl was still holding the container, her knuckles white from gripping it so hard. "You're safe now," Jake said. "Do you understand me? Can you speak Galactic Common?" The girl's mouth moved. Her voice came out quiet and shaky. "Human?" she asked. "Yes," Jake said. "I'm Jake, this is Ben, we're humans." "What's your name?" "Zara," the girl said. Her accent was strange with clicks and soft sounds mixed in. "I am Zara, Velari." Jake knew that word. The Velari were a peaceful species that mostly kept to themselves. They had a few colonies, but rarely traveled far from their home systems. Finding one out here alone in a damaged pod made no sense. What happened? Jake asked. Why are you out here? Zara's eyes filled with what looked like tears. I run, I escape. They follow me. They want take this. She held up the container. Cannot let them. Must reach human colony. Must reach New Terra. Amy's voice came through the intercom. Jake, we've got a problem. There's a ship on sensors. It's Velari design and it's coming fast. They're on an intercept course. Jake looked at Zara. The fear in her eyes told him everything. Whoever was on that ship, she didn't want to see them. How long until they reach us? Jake asked. 20 minutes, Amy said. Maybe less. Jake made a decision. Get us moving. Best speed toward New Terra. Jake, that's 3 days away, Amy said. And if that ship wants to catch us, they will. We're a cargo hauler, not a racer. I know, Jake said. Just do it. He looked at Zara. She was shaking now, still holding the container like her life depended on it. Maybe it did. Come on, Jake said gently. Let's get you to the medical bay. You look hurt. Zara shook her head hard. No medical scan. No touch container, please, is important. Very important. All right, Jake said, though every instinct told him she needed a doctor. No scans. But let's at least get you somewhere you can sit down and warm up. Then you can tell me why someone is chasing you across space. Zara nodded slowly and followed Jake through the corridor. Ben stayed behind to secure the airlock and stow their suits. The ship hummed around them as Amy pushed the engines as fast as they would go. Jake didn't know what he had just gotten himself into. But looking at Zara's frightened face and the way she held that container, he knew it was something big. Something that might change everything. Behind them, the Velari ship was getting closer. The common room on the Starbound Dawn was small but comfortable. Jake had tried to make it feel like home over the years. There were a few plants in the corner that Ben took care of, some old books on a shelf and a worn couch that had seen better days. Zara sat on that couch now, still clutching her container. Amy came down from the bridge, leaving the ship on autopilot. She looked at Zara with suspicion in her eyes, then at Jake. The Velari ship is hailing us, Amy said. They want to talk. Put them through, Jake said. Amy tapped her communication device and a voice filled the room. It was deep and formal, speaking perfect Galactic Common. Human vessel Starbound Dawn, this is the Velari ship Morning Light. You have taken aboard a fugitive of our people. We demand her immediate return. Jake looked at Zara. She had gone pale, her whole body tense. This is Captain Morrison, Jake said. The person we rescued was in a damaged escape pod. She requested asylum. Under Galactic Accords, I'm required to hear her case before making any decisions. There was a long pause. Then the voice came back, colder now. The individual is a criminal. She has stolen property that belongs to our people. We will not debate this matter. Return her now or face consequences. I'll need more information than that, Jake said. What exactly did she steal? That is not your concern, human. This is a Velari matter. Do not interfere, the communication cut off. Amy looked at Jake with worry on her face. They're still following us, Amy said. Staying just out of weapons range, watching. Jake sat down across from Zara. You want to tell me what's going on? What's in that container that's so important? Zara's fingers tightened on the silver box. Cannot say yet. Not safe, they listen. They always listen. She looked around the room as if expecting to see hidden devices. There's no surveillance here, Jake said. This is my ship. Whatever you tell me stays between us. Zara studied his face for a long moment. Then she shook her head. Later, when we far from them. Then I show you. Then you understand. Jake wanted to press her, but he could see she was exhausted. All right. Are you hungry? When's the last time you ate? Zara thought about it. 3 days. Maybe 4, I'm not sure. Ben had been standing in the doorway listening. I'll make something, he said and headed to the small kitchen area. While Ben worked, Jake tried to make conversation. How did you end up out here? That's pretty far from Velari space. I travel long time, Zara said. Jump many times, use small ships, hide in cargo holds. Take months to get here. Need reach human space. Need reach humans who can help. Help with what? Amy asked. Zara looked at her but didn't answer. Instead, she asked her own question. You are human female. You fly ship? Amy nodded. Yeah, I'm the pilot. Your people let females do important work? Zara asked. Amy frowned. Of course. Why wouldn't they? My people not same, Zara said quietly. Females must follow males, must obey counsel, must not question. I question. That is why I run. Ben came back with a plate of food. It was simple stuff. Protein bars broken up with some dried fruit and nuts. Nothing fancy, but it was what they had. Zara looked at it like she had never seen food before. She ate slowly, carefully, as if she wasn't sure it was real. After she finished, Jake showed her to one of the spare crew quarters. It was tiny, just a bed and a small storage locker, but it was private. Zara went inside and locked the door behind her, still holding her container. Jake, Amy, and Ben gathered back in the common room. I don't like this, Amy said. We don't know what she's carrying. Could be dangerous. Could be illegal. We could lose our cargo license over this. She's scared, Ben said. Really scared. You saw her face when that ship called. Whatever she's running from, it's bad. That doesn't mean we should risk everything for her, Amy argued. We have responsibilities. The colony needs those medical supplies. Jake rubbed his face. He was tired and stressed. We have 3 days to New Terra. Let's use that time to figure out what's really going on. If she's carrying something dangerous or illegal, we'll deal with it. But I'm not handing her over without knowing the full story. Amy didn't look happy, but she nodded. Fine, 3 days. But if that ship decides to attack us, we're not equipped for a fight. They won't attack, Jake said, hoping he was right. They're following Galactic Accords, too. They can't just fire on a civilian vessel without cause. The next 2 days passed slowly. The Velari ship stayed with them, always at the same distance, always watching. It made everyone nervous. Amy spent extra time on the bridge, monitoring their pursuer. Ben kept the engines running at maximum safe speed. Jake tried to talk to Zara to get her to open up, but she remained quiet and scared. But Jake noticed things. Strange things. The first incident happened when Ben hurt his hand fixing a coolant line. He swore and looked at his palm where the hot metal had burned him. It wasn't serious, just a small burn, but it hurt. Ben went to the medical cabinet and pulled out a basic pain pill and some antibiotic cream. Zara was in the doorway watching. When she saw the pill, her eyes went wide. She stepped forward. What is that? She asked, pointing at the small white tablet. Pain medication, Ben said. Just basic stuff. Helps with the hurt. You put medicine in body? Zara asked. She looked shocked. Synthetic medicine? Chemical medicine? Yeah, Ben said, confused. It's just a pain pill. Everyone uses these. Zara stared at the pill like it was something dangerous. Your people allow this? You not get in trouble? Ben laughed. Trouble? For taking a pain pill? Why would I get in trouble? But Zara didn't answer. She just backed away, her expression a mix of wonder and fear. The second incident happened the next morning. Jake was making coffee in the kitchen. The smell filled the small space, rich and warm. Zara came in and stopped suddenly. What is that smell? She asked. Coffee, Jake said. Want some? It might be a bit strong if you've never had it before. He poured her a small cup. Zara took it carefully and sniffed it. Then she took a tiny sip. Her whole face changed. She looked at the cup, then at Jake. This is drug, she said. This change how brain works. Make more alert, yes? Well, yeah, the caffeine gives you energy, Jake said. But it's not really a drug. I mean, not like illegal drugs. It's just coffee. Everyone drinks it. Everyone? Zara repeated. All humans drink stimulant drug? Every day? Pretty much, Jake said. It's normal. Zara set the cup down carefully as if it might explode. Your people very different from mine, she said quietly. The third incident was the strangest. Ben was welding a broken support bracket in the cargo hold. Zara had been exploring the ship and came down to watch. When Ben fired up the plasma torch, the bright blue flame lighting up his work, Zara actually gasped and jumped back. Ben turned off the torch and lifted his welding mask. You okay? You use plasma to repair ship? Zara asked. You control fire like that? Not dangerous? It can be if you're not careful, Ben said. But I've been doing this for years. It's just welding. Basic repair work. Zara moved closer, fascinated. My people not allowed use such tools. Too dangerous. Too much power. Council says we must use only natural methods. Only simple tools. Ben and Jake exchanged glances. Something was becoming clear. The Velari had rules. Lots of rules about what technology they could use. And apparently those rules were very strict. That evening, they were 1 day away from New Terra. The Velari ship was still following. Zara had been quiet all day, thinking about something. Finally, she came to find Jake on the bridge. "Tomorrow we reach Colony," she said. "Tomorrow I must tell you everything. Must show you what I carry. But I afraid..." "Afraid of what?" Jake asked. "Afraid you not understand," Zara said. "Afraid you think I am criminal like my people say. Afraid you not help when you know truth." Amy was listening from the pilot's seat. She turned around. "Whatever it is, just tell us. We've come this far." Zara nodded slowly. "Tomorrow, when we close to safety, then I tell you why I need humans. Why humans only ones who can help me." She paused, her voice dropping to almost a whisper. "And why my people would kill me rather than let me succeed." The morning came with tension hanging in the air like static electricity. New Terra was 6 hours away now, close enough to see on the long-range sensors. The colony showed up as a cluster of structures on a blue and green planet. It looked peaceful, safe. But the Velari ship had moved closer during the night. It was now within weapons range, a clear threat. Jake stood on the bridge with Amy watching the displays. Ben was running a diagnostic on the shields, making sure they worked if things went bad, and Zara was in the common room waiting. "They're hailing us again," Amy said. Jake nodded. "Put them through." This time a different voice came through the speakers. It was older, with authority that demanded respect. "Captain Morrison, I am Elder Kane of the Velari Council. I speak directly to you now. The female you harbor has committed crimes against our most sacred laws. She has stolen forbidden knowledge and forbidden materials. She plans to corrupt our people with dangerous and unnatural practices." "What kind of practices?" Jake asked. "That is not your concern," Elder Kane said. "But know this. If you deliver her to New Terra, if you help her in any way, you violate the Galactic Accords on cultural interference. We will file formal complaints. Your license will be revoked. You will face criminal charges." Jake felt his jaw tighten. He hated being threatened. "And if I don't help her, I violate the Galactic Accords on asylum rights. Seems like I'm in trouble either way." "Do not test us, human," Elder Kane said. "We are a peaceful people, but we will protect our way of life. Return the fugitive. This is your last warning." The communication ended. Amy looked at Jake. "He's serious," she said. "They could really cost us everything." "I know," Jake said. He stood up. "I'm going to talk to Zara. It's time we knew what this is really about." He found Zara in the common room, sitting on the couch with her container on her lap. She looked like she hadn't slept at all. Her eyes were red and her hands shook slightly. "They threatened you," Zara said. "It wasn't a question." "Yeah," Jake said, sitting down across from her. "They did. So I think it's time you told me the truth. All of it. What's in that container?" Zara looked down at the silver box. For a long moment, she didn't move. Then she took a deep breath. 300 years ago, she began. "My people made choice. Big choice. Our Council of Elders decided that we had become too dependent on technology. Too dependent on artificial things. They said we lost our connection to natural world. Lost our purity." She opened the container. Inside were several small vials filled with clear liquid, some with colored liquid. There were also data chips and printed documents with human writing on them. "So Council made laws," Zara continued. "No more synthetic medicine. No more genetic modification. No more vaccination. No more antibiotics. Only natural healing. Only herbs and prayer and hope." Jake stared at the vials. He was starting to understand, but he couldn't quite believe it. "At first, many people die," Zara said, her voice thick with emotion. "Many, many people. But councils say this is natural. This is how universe wants it. Weak die, strong survive. They say this is better way, purer way." "That's insane," Ben said from the doorway. He had come down to listen. "Yes," Zara agreed. "But after a long time, people forget. New generations grow up knowing only this way. They teach children that synthetic medicine is evil, that humans and other races are corrupted, that we are pure because we reject these things." She picked up one of the vials with shaking hands. "My brother died 2 years ago. He was 12 years old. He got sick, fever and cough and pain. I watch him suffer for 3 weeks. I watch him get weaker and weaker, and then I watch him die." Tears ran down Zara's face now. "After funeral, I find medical books, old books from before the laws. I read them. I learned that my brother died from disease that humans defeated hundreds of years ago. Simple disease. He could have lived with one shot. One small injection, but our law says no. Better to die pure than live corrupted. Jake felt sick. He looked at the vials in the container. These are vaccines. Yes, Zara said. And antibiotics. And medical information. I spent 2 years studying in secret, learning about human medicine, about how humans became so strong, so healthy. I learned that human children almost never die from diseases that kill Velari children every day. She stood up, holding the container. My sister is sick now. Same disease that killed my brother. She's 11 years old. She has maybe 2 months before she dies. But I can save her. With this, I can save her. Amy had come down from the bridge, too. She looked at the vials with horror on her face. Your people would rather let children die than use medicine? Council says it is will of universe, Zara said bitterly. But I cannot accept this. I will not watch my sister die when I know I can help her. So you came to human space, Jake said, to get medical supplies. Not just supplies, Zara said. She pulled out one of the data chips. I need knowledge. I need training. I need human doctors to teach me how to make these medicines on my world. Because I am not alone. She looked at each of them. There are others like me. Parents who lost children. Scientists who studied in secret. We formed a group. Small group, very secret. We call ourselves the Life Seekers. We believe that saving lives is more important than old laws. We believe our people deserve choice. Zara sat back down. But we cannot make medicines ourselves. We do not have facilities. We do not have knowledge. So they send me, youngest member who can speak Galactic Common. They send me to find humans who might help us. Why humans specifically? Ben asked. Because humans are famous, Zara said. Famous for helping. Famous for healing. Famous for believing every life matters. I study human history. Humans fight diseases hard. Humans invent medicines and give them away to poor planets. Humans send doctors to war zones and disaster areas. Humans do not let people die when they can help. She looked directly at Jake. I bet everything on humans being as good as stories say. I bet my life. I bet my sister's life. Was I wrong? Jake sat back overwhelmed. This wasn't just about one alien girl running from her government. This was about thousands of children dying from preventable diseases. This was about an entire species that had chosen ideology over life. What's in those vials exactly? Jake asked. Zara picked them up one by one. This is vaccine for respiratory disease that kills most Velari children. This is broad-spectrum antibiotic. This is anti-fever medicine. This is infection treatment. I bought them from black market on border station. Cost me everything I had. She pulled out a small injector device. And this morning, before I come talk to you, I use this. She showed them her arm where there was a tiny red mark. I inject myself with human vaccine. If Council catches me now, I am contaminated. I can never go home. I can never be pure again. The room went silent. Jake couldn't find words. This girl had willingly exiled herself from her own people, just for a chance to save her sister. You injected yourself with human medicine? Amy asked, shocked. Do you even know if it's safe for your species? I studied for 2 years, Zara said. Velari and human biology are very similar. Enough that it should work. And if it does not? She shrugged. Better to try than to do nothing. Ben shook his head in amazement. You're incredibly brave. Or incredibly crazy. Maybe both. I am desperate, Zara said simply. You have no children, so maybe you cannot understand. But imagine watching someone you love die slowly, every day getting worse, and you know that simple medicine could save them. What would you do? Jake stood up and walked to the viewport. He could see the stars outside, cold and distant. He thought about what Elder Caney had said. Cultural interference, criminal charges, loss of license. Then he thought about a 12-year-old boy dying from a disease that could have been prevented with a single shot. What do you need from us? Jake asked, turning back to face Zara. Hope lit up in Zara's eyes. Get me to New Terra. Help me contact human medical researchers. People who understand biology. People who can teach my group how to make these medicines safely. Give us knowledge to save our children. That's a tall order, Amy said. That's not just helping one person. That's interfering with another species' entire medical system. Their medical system is letting children die, Ben said angrily. How is that okay? I did not say it's okay, Amy shot back. I am saying it's complicated. Jake held up his hand. Everyone calm down, he looked at Zara. If we help you, we're breaking multiple laws. We could lose everything. The ship, our licenses, maybe even our freedom. Zara nodded, tears streaming down her face again. I know what I ask. It is too much. But I have nowhere else to go. No one else to ask. Humans are my only hope. Jake thought about it. He thought about his career, his ship, everything he had worked for. Then he thought about all the times he had looked up at the stars and wondered what humanity's purpose was out here. Why were humans exploring space? What were they trying to accomplish? Maybe this was it. Maybe this was exactly what humanity was supposed to do. Help those who couldn't help themselves. Save lives. Make things better. He made his decision. All right, Jake said. We'll help you. Amy turned to Jake with disbelief written across her face. You can't be serious. Do you understand what you just agreed to? I understand perfectly, Jake said calmly. We're going to help her. This is not like picking up a hitchhiker, Amy said, her voice rising. This is major interference with another species. The Galactic Council will come down on us hard. We will lose everything. Maybe, Jake said. Or maybe we do the right thing and figure out the legal stuff later. The legal stuff later? Amy laughed, but there was no humor in it. Jake, I have been flying with you for 5 years. I trust you. But this is crazy. That ship out there has weapons. They have made threats. And we are a cargo hauler with basic shields and no weapons at all. Ben stepped forward. I'm with Jake. We can't just hand her over knowing what we know now. They'll kill her. They said they would arrest her, Amy corrected. Same thing, Zara said quietly. Council does not execute people publicly, but criminals who use forbidden medicine disappear. Everyone knows this. We're just not allowed to talk about it. Amy closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened them, she looked tired. Fine, I think you are all insane, but fine. I will fly us to New Terra. But after this, I am taking a very long vacation and you are paying for it. Jake smiled slightly. Deal. He turned to Zara. We have about 4 hours until we reach New Terra. That ship is going to try something before we get there. They won't want this situation to become public. So here's what we are going to do. Over the next hour, they made a plan. It wasn't a great plan, but it was the best they had. Jake would use the ship's communication system to broadcast on all open channels. He would tell Zara's story to anyone listening. The Velari couldn't act violently if multiple species were watching. It's risky, Ben said as they prepared. If nobody is listening, if no other ships are in range, we just made them angry for nothing. There are always ships listening, Jake said. Cargo haulers, patrol vessels, private yachts. Space is never as empty as it looks. Someone will hear us. Zara watched them work with gratitude and fear mixed on her face. You risk so much for me, for someone you just meet. Why? Jake paused in his work. Because that's what humans do. At least that's what we should do. We help people who need help. Simple as that. 2 hours from New Terra, the Velari ship made its move. It accelerated forward, cutting off their path. A warning shot streaked across their bow, bright in the darkness of space. They are targeting our engines, Amy said, her hands tight on the controls. If they disable us, we drift here forever or until they board us. Open all channels, Jake said. Every frequency. Maximum broadcast range. Amy's fingers flew over the controls. Channels open. You are on. Jake took a deep breath and began to speak. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the cargo vessel Starbound Dawn. I am broadcasting on all frequencies to any ships in range. We are currently being threatened by a Velari Council ship. They are demanding we turn over a refugee who requested asylum under Galactic Accords. Another warning shot hit their shields. The ship shook but held steady. The refugee's name is Zara, Jake continued. She is a young Velari female who fled her homeworld because she wanted to save her sister's life. Her sister is dying from a preventable disease. A disease that human medicine cured hundreds of years ago. But the Velari Council has banned all synthetic medicine. They would rather let their children die than allow vaccination or antibiotics. Jake, we have incoming fire, Amy warned. They are not playing around anymore. Keep us steady, Jake said. He kept talking. Zara watched her brother die from this same disease. She spent 2 years studying human medicine in secret. She came to human space to get help, to learn how to make medicines that could save thousands of Velari children. And now her own government wants to arrest her for this crime, for trying to save children. The Velari ship fired again. This time it hit their rear shields hard. Alarms started blaring through the ship. Shields at 60%, Ben called out from the engine room. We cannot take much more. I am calling on any vessels in range to witness this situation, Jake said, his voice steady, even as the ship shook around him. The Velari Council is willing to fire on an unarmed civilian cargo ship to prevent one of their people from accessing medical care. They are willing to kill to maintain laws that let children die. This needs to be seen. This needs to be recorded. This needs to stop. Elder Caney's voice came through the communication system, cold with rage. You have made a terrible mistake, human. You reveal things that are not your business. You interfere with matters you do not understand. I understand just fine, Jake shot back. You are scared. Scared that if your people learn the truth, they will demand change. You are scared that parents will refuse to watch their children die for your ideology. Cease this broadcast immediately, Elder Caney demanded, or we will disable your ship and take what is ours by force. She is not yours, Jake said. She is a living being with the right to choose. And she chooses to live. She chooses to save her sister. She chooses to help her people. If that makes her a criminal in your eyes, then your laws are wrong. Amy suddenly sat up straight. Jake, we have company. 3 ships just came out of hyperspace. No, 4 ships. 5 ships now. On the display screen, new signatures appeared. A human patrol vessel, a cargo hauler from the Centauri system, a diplomatic courier, a mining ship, even a small private yacht. They were all broadcasting that they were monitoring the situation. Looks like people were listening, Ben said with relief in his voice. The Velari ship stopped firing. It held position but did not advance further. This is Commander Phillips of the human patrol vessel Defender, a new voice said over the open channel. We have been monitoring this situation. Captain Morrison, do you require assistance? Yes, Commander, Jake said. I am transporting a refugee who has requested asylum. She is being pursued by Velari authorities who wish to arrest her for seeking medical treatment. I am requesting safe escort to New Terra. Understood, Commander Phillips said. We will provide escort. Velari vessel, you are advised to stand down. You are in human-controlled space and you have fired on a civilian vessel. These actions violate multiple treaties, Elder Caney responded. And Jake could hear the frustration in his voice. This is an internal Velari matter. The fugitive has broken our sacred laws. We demand her return. She has requested asylum, Commander Phillips said. Under Galactic Accords, she has that right. If you wish to file formal extradition papers, you may do so through proper diplomatic channels. But you will not fire on civilian ships in this system. The Velari ship held its position for a long moment. Then slowly it began to move away. We will file formal complaints, Elder Caney said. The Council will not forget this interference. There will be consequences. File whatever you want, Jake said. But you won't stop us from reaching New Terra. The Velari ship jumped to hyperspace, leaving them alone with the other vessels. Thank you, Commander Phillips, Jake said, feeling relief wash over him. Just doing my job, Captain, Phillips replied. Though I have to say that was one of the most interesting distress calls I have ever responded to. Bring your passenger to New Terra. I will make sure the authorities there know the full situation. The Defender took up position beside them, along with 2 other ships that volunteered to escort them the rest of the way. With protection around them, they made the final approach to New Terra. Zara had been quiet during the whole confrontation. Now she came to the bridge and looked at the planet growing larger on the display screen. You did this for me, she said softly. You risked your ship, your career, everything, for someone you barely know. Yes, Jake said. We did. Why? Zara asked. I still not understand why humans do this. Help strangers. Risk so much for people not even same species. Jake thought about it. Because if we don't help when we can, what is the point of anything? We have knowledge, we have resources, we have the ability to make things better. If we just keep that to ourselves, we are no better than your council. Humans believe that every life matters. Every child deserves a chance to grow up. That's not just true for human children. That's true for all children everywhere. Zara's eyes filled with tears again. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for proving that hope was not foolish. Thank you for being what stories say humans are. As they entered orbit around New Terra, Jake felt a strange mix of emotions. He had just thrown away his peaceful, simple life as a cargo hauler. There would be investigations. There would be hearings. There would be lawyers and bureaucrats and endless questions. But when he looked at Zara's face, at the hope shining in her eyes, he knew he had made the right choice. An hour later, They landed at New Terra's main spaceport. Officials were waiting for them, along with medical personnel and a very official-looking woman in a suit, who introduced herself as the colony's diplomatic liaison. "Captain Morrison," she said, shaking his hand, "you have created quite a situation here. The Velari Council has already filed 3 formal complaints and threatened to sever diplomatic relations with humanity." "I'm sure they have," Jake said. "On the other hand," the woman continued with a slight smile, "you have also created the biggest story in the sector. News of what you broadcast has spread fast. There are already protests on several Velari colony worlds. Parents demanding access to medicine. Scientists calling for the laws to be changed. You have started something big, Captain." Jake looked over at Zara, who was being examined by human doctors. They were gentle with her, explaining everything they did. She looked scared but also hopeful. "Will you help her?" Jake asked the liaison. "We are humans," the woman said. "Of course we will help her." 6 months passed like a strange dream. Jake spent the first 3 weeks dealing with official inquiries. Representatives from the Galactic Council wanted to know why he had interfered with Velari internal affairs. Lawyers from the shipping company wanted to know why he had risked their cargo vessel. The Velari Council filed 17 separate complaints demanding everything from his arrest to the seizure of his ship. But something unexpected happened. Public opinion shifted dramatically in Jake's favor. The broadcast he had made went viral across dozens of worlds. News networks played it constantly. People were horrified to learn about the Velari laws. The idea that an advanced spacefaring species would let children die rather than use proven medicine seemed barbaric to most of the galaxy. Protests erupted on Velari colony worlds. Parents who had lost children began speaking out, risking arrest to tell their stories. Scientists published papers they had written in secret, showing the death rates among Velari children compared to other species. The numbers were shocking. The Velari Council tried to control the narrative. They claimed the deaths were natural. They said synthetic medicine would corrupt their people's purity. They argued that other species didn't understand their culture and had no right to judge, but it was too late. The truth was out. Jake watched all of this from New Terra. The diplomatic liaison, whose name was Linda Grant, kept him updated on the political situation. She seemed amused by the whole thing. "The council is panicking," Linda told him one afternoon. "They never expected this level of backlash. Several colony governors have already announced they will not enforce the medicine laws anymore. There are rumors of council members resigning." "What about Zara?" Jake asked. That was all he really cared about. "Come with me," Linda said. "I will show you." She led him to the medical research facility at the edge of the colony. It was a large building, clean and modern, filled with labs and equipment. Inside, they found Zara working with a team of human doctors and researchers. She looked different now. Healthier, less scared. She wore a lab coat and was studying something on a display screen. When she saw Jake, her face lit up with a smile. "Jake," she called out. "Come, look at this. Look what we accomplished." She showed him her work. Over the past months, the human doctors had taught her everything. How to identify diseases, how to create vaccines, how to produce antibiotics safely, how to store and transport medicine. They had given her access to their entire medical database. "We adapted 37 different treatments for Velari biology," Zara explained excitedly. "We tested everything carefully. Made sure it is safe. And it works, Jake, it all works." One of the doctors, an older man named Dr. Hayes, smiled at Jake. "She is a brilliant student, fast learner. She understands the science better than some people I have taught for years." "My sister," Zara said, her voice suddenly emotional. "I sent medicine to her 2 months ago. Secret shipment through the underground network. She is better now, Jake. She is alive and healthy. The disease is gone." Jake felt a lump in his throat. "That's wonderful, Zara. Not just her," Zara continued. "The Life Seekers, my group. They are using the treatments now. We saved 43 children so far. 43 children who would have died. And more every week as we get supplies to more families." "The Velari Council must be furious," Jake said. Zara's expression turned serious. "Yes, very furious. They declared me enemy of the state. Anyone who helps me is also criminal. But they cannot stop what is happening. Too many people now know the truth. Too many parents refuse to watch their children die anymore." Dr. Hayes pulled up a news feed on his display. "Look at this." There was a march on the Velari homeworld yesterday. 20,000 people in the capital city demanding medical reform. 20,000 people willing to risk arrest to call for change. Jake watched the footage. He saw Velari families holding signs. Parents with pictures of children they had lost. Young people chanting for freedom to choose their own medical care. It was remarkable. "You started a revolution," Linda said, appearing behind them. "A medical revolution. Possibly a cultural revolution, too." "I just wanted to save my sister," Zara said quietly. "And look what happened," Linda replied. "That's the thing about standing up for what is right. You never know how far the ripples will spread." Over the next weeks, Jake prepared to return to his cargo routes. The shipping company had decided not to fire him after all. Public support was too strong. In fact, they offered him a new contract with better pay. Apparently, being the captain who defied the Velari Council was good for business. Ben was staying on as his engineer. Amy had taken that vacation she wanted, spending 2 weeks on a beach planet somewhere. She came back tanned and relaxed, ready to fly again. The night before they were scheduled to leave New Terra, Zara came to visit them at their ship. She brought gifts, small crystals that glowed with soft light, traditional Velari crafts that symbolized hope and new beginnings. "I am going back," she told them. "Back to Velari space. The Lifeseekers need me to help train others, to set up medical facilities in secret, to keep saving children until the laws change." "That's dangerous," Jake said. "You are wanted by the Council. If they catch you..." "I know," Zara said. "But I cannot stay safe here while my people suffer. I must go back. I must help." "You're very brave," Amy said. "No," Zara disagreed. "Brave is what you did. You risked everything for stranger. I just do what any sister would do. What any person should do." She turned to Jake. "I want to ask you something. Why humans help so much? I study human history since I come here. I learn about hospitals you build on poor planets, about medicines you give away for free, about rescue missions and disaster relief and refugee programs. Why you do all this?" Jake thought about it for a long moment. "I think it's because humans remember what it was like to struggle. For most of our history, we fought diseases we couldn't cure. We watched our children die from things we couldn't prevent. It was only in the last few hundred years that we figured out medicine and science well enough to change that." He continued. "So when we see other species suffering the way we used to suffer, we want to help. We know what it's like. We know how important it is. And we know that knowledge and medicine should not be kept secret or restricted. They should be shared with everyone who needs them." "That is a beautiful way to think," Zara said softly. "My people used to think that way too long ago. Before the Council changed everything. Maybe we can think that way again." "I hope so," Jake said. Zara hugged each of them. Then she left, disappearing into the night to catch her transport back to Velari space. Jake watched her go and wondered if he would ever see her again. 3 months later, Jake was hauling engine parts to a mining colony when he received a message. It was text only, routed through multiple relays to hide its origin, but he knew who it was from. The message was short. "Progress continues. Saved 127 children this month. Sister sends her thanks. You were right about humans. You really are as good as the stories say. The Council is weakening. Change is coming. Slowly, but it is coming. Thank you for showing us that hope is not foolish. That fighting for life is always right. That sometimes one person can make a difference. You changed my world, Jake Morrison. You changed everything." Jake read the message 3 times. Then he saved it and went back to work. There were engine parts to deliver, schedules to keep, normal boring cargo routes to fly. But he felt different now. He understood something he hadn't before. Being a cargo hauler wasn't just about moving boxes from one place to another. It was about connecting worlds. About bringing resources to people who needed them, about being part of the great human mission to make the galaxy a better place. A year after their first meeting, news broke across the galaxy. The Velari Council had fallen. After months of protests and civil disobedience, after governors began openly defying the central government, after too many parents refused to follow laws that killed their children, the old order collapsed. A new government formed, led by younger Velari who had been part of the Lifeseekers movement. Their first act was to repeal the medicine laws. Their second act was to invite human medical personnel to the Velari homeworld to help set up proper healthcare systems. Their third act was to pardon all criminals who had been arrested for using or distributing medicine, including one young female named Zara. Jake saw her face on the news. She was being interviewed as a hero of the revolution. She looked older now, more confident. She spoke about her journey to human space, about the humans who helped her, about how one captain of a cargo ship had been willing to risk everything to do the right thing. Humans taught me that every life matters, Zara said in the interview. They taught me that fighting for what is right is always worth it, even when it is hard, even when it is dangerous, even when everyone tells you to stop. That is the human way, and now it is our way too. She held up a small glowing crystal, the same kind she had given to Jake. This is our symbol of hope. I gave one to the humans who saved me, who saved my sister, who saved my people. I hope they know that we will never forget what they did for us. Jake kept that crystal on the bridge of his ship. Every time he looked at it, he remembered why he was out here, why any human was out here. Not just to explore space or make money or see new worlds. They were here to help, to share what they knew, to make things better, to save lives when they could. That was the human way. That would always be the human way. Ben walked onto the bridge and saw Jake looking at the crystal. Thinking about Zara? He asked. Yeah, Jake said, thinking about a lot of things. We did good, Ben said. Really good. We did what needed to be done, Jake replied. And we would do it again. Amy called from the pilot's seat. Hey, we have a new job offer. Colony ship needs supplies delivered. Medical supplies, actually. They are setting up a new healthcare system on a frontier world. Could use our help. Jake smiled. Accepted. Let's go deliver some medicine. The starbound Dawn turned toward its new destination, carrying cargo that would save lives. Behind them, the stars stretched out in all directions, endless and full of possibilities. Somewhere out there, children were growing up healthy who would have died without medicine. Families were staying together who would have been torn apart by preventable diseases. And an entire species was learning that choosing life over ideology was not corruption. It was wisdom. All because one alien girl had been brave enough to ask for help, and because some humans had been brave enough to give it. That was the story Jake would tell if anyone asked. The story of how one simple choice to help someone in need had changed an entire civilization. The story of why humans belonged in space. The story of what made humanity special. Not their technology, not their ships or weapons or colonies, their willingness to help, their refusal to let others suffer when they had the means to stop it. Their belief that every life mattered regardless of species or origin. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy, and Jake Morrison, captain of a simple cargo ship, was proud to be part of it.